Welcome to According to Sam, folks. This is episode 349. Thank you for joining me. Hope you guys have had a good week. Still talking about the Jews. Still talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination. And I thought that we were going to be able to get into the siege of Jerusalem and cover this Jewish history. And the destruction of Solomon's temple by Nebuchadnezzar in 587 BC and by the Babylonians, the Neo-Babylonian Empire. Not going to talk about that today. We're going to pick up where we left off in the last podcast, and then we'll talk about the siege of Jerusalem and the destruction of Solomon's temple in the next podcast. But I really left a few things on the table in the last podcast that I wanted to clear up in this podcast, and it all centers around the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Now, a lot of people are asking questions. Some major shows. Piers Morgan did a show this week where he talked to some experts, former CIA person. I think the other guy was a forensic pathologist. This gentleman was the sniper. He's a former Navy SEAL, and he was a sniper in the Navy SEALs. He's credited with killing Osama bin Laden in Abbottabad, Pakistan. And Piers Morgan had all of these people on his show this week. And he's not the only show. Many shows, not only Candace Owens, many shows are exploring these questions that don't really make sense. The title of this show on Piers Morgan's show, so many things just don't add up, in quotes. I guess that was one of the quotes from one of these guests on his show. So many things just don't add up. Charlie Kirk conspiracies with Piers Morgan. So this guy, Ron, I forget his last name, but he was the former Navy SEAL that is credited with killing Osama bin Laden. I want to start the show by taking a listen to what he says. I want to get through the early part of this podcast as quickly as I can because I have a lot to share at the tail end, and I want to leave myself a long time. We're going to listen to the former Navy SEAL sniper on Piers Morgan's show this week. Take a listen.
Just from a technical point of view, how difficult is that shot to make?
Good to be with you, Piers. Thanks for having me. That's an easy shot. Even for someone, I mean, they throw the word sniper around almost as much as they throw the word hero around way too often. Anyone with a hunting rifle, a 30-06 like that, that's an easy shot. 200 yards as a sniper, which I am, you pick which nostril you want and I'll put it in it. So that's easy. The issues just for me, I mean, it was off right from the beginning for me. Do we not guard rooftops anymore? There's been assassination attempts all over the world. Right. Why aren't we looking at rooftops? And then when I was sent the video with this at the same message where they said Charlie Kirk was just shot. When I watched that horrific video, he was obviously dead before he hit the ground. But the questions immediately started to come to me. That was not an entry wound that we saw. We saw an exit wound. So where'd that bullet come from? You don't bleed like, and I've shot guys closer than the camera was. And an entry wound doesn't look like that. An exit wound does. Why did his shirt move the way it did? When I've shot people, their shirts didn't move like that. And then the initial reaction was, well, he was obviously wearing body armor and it was deflection. One, no, he wasn't wearing body armor. And two, it doesn't deflect like that off of body armor. Why was his shirt moving from right to left? Why were people being interviewed saying, yeah, they came from my left to right, from his right to left, immediately shut down? And then did they tear the crime scene down immediately? Just right off the bat.
They tore the crime scene down immediately is what this guy is saying, which is very conspicuous. And I have another clip after this where another major podcast is making the case. Why did they tear the crime scene down so fast?
Immediately shut down. And then did they tear the crime scene down immediately? Just right off the bat, from seeing it, knowing he was dead, saying a lot of this is bad, not even getting into the soliloquy of text messages that 22-year-olds don't send their trans lover.
All right, so that's the former Navy SEAL sniper who says that the neck wound is an exit wound and not an entry wound. Now, this is the Patrick Bet-David show. I want you to notice that Piers Morgan's show has 4 million subscribers. Patrick Bet-David's show has almost double, has 7 million subscribers. So these are major shows asking questions and not buying the official story. You'll see the headline of this Patrick Bet-David show. It says, "The FBI is lying," in quotes. A lot of people are saying this. I don't know why people are blaming the FBI. The state of Utah is running this. People need to be looking at the state of Utah. The state of Utah is running the investigation. The state of Utah, the campus, they were the ones who made the decision to tear down the crime scene. And we're going to get more into back into the Latter-day Saints in this podcast. They run the state of Utah. But this is the Patrick Bet-David show. Take a listen.
I'm sorry. I don't believe the official narrative.
You called the school. What
I
happened
called
when you
yesterday.
called the school?
I called, and Amanda was with me. She recorded it. I called UVU, and I called, and I called to the main desk, and I said, "Hey, I'm with such and such." I made up a thing, and I said, "I'm trying to find out if you guys, because the construction that's happening right now is unbelievable. It doesn't even look like what it is right now, okay? Doesn't make sense." I said, "Who do I talk to?" You guys just had, and I apologize, you guys had the biggest assassination since JFK on your campus. Was there scheduled construction on the exact site where this happened? Can you comment on that? He goes, let me direct you to the right place. Your conversations, you're typing, sends me to like maintenance or something like that. And it's a female that picks up. And I go, "Hey, I'm so-and-so with media." I go, "I'm just curious. Did you guys have construction set up?" Whispering, talking to I can't talk to you about that. I go, no, hold on one second. I don't need information about the shooting or nothing like that. Did you guys have scheduled maintenance? Because I would assume that if it's an assassination at this magnitude, you would leave the crime scene for potential bullets, potential fragments, other things to recreate in the scene. There's stuff in that ceiling, that overhead, Pat. That there's cameras. There's an opening that you could get in there. I'm like, how is this normal? Who made the decision? I can't say anything. Let me give you the information to our VP of Strategic and Communications Management. I called her 3 times. I don't even want to say her name. I called 3 times. Nobody picked up, and I left a message. I'm just trying to figure out with this type of magnitude. And you know what's insane? For how many minutes after, not one police officer went there and secured the crime scene. I've watched multiple videos. I've watched aftermath of videos. I saw people coming and stealing
That should have been the
hats
state of Utah. That should have been the state of Utah securing the crime scene.
off a truck and throwing them. Some guys like, what the hell are you doing?
Or the authorities in Utah.
There's no way this type of cover up, and the fact that when you
that's a fact that you law enforcement should have shown up and taped the
Why
scene.
didn't they?
And you know what's crazy?
Just like Butler.
They were
Why
there though.
didn't they?
I don't know, but you know what's crazy, Pat? I saw a cop. One cop basically had his gun drawn while they were bringing Charlie, God rest his soul, to the vehicle. Your job, bro, is to go. This idiot, and by the way, Candace yesterday was talking about this guy, Pat. She knows him. She goes, never has this guy ever been around when we were on tour.
This who? Back up a second and say who we're talking about.
The guy with the camera that was taking the SD card out.
Stood on the chair.
Who stood? Think about this, guys. It's a crime scene. You're moving the chair that he was shot. There's probably evidence in there if there was, God forbid, a bullet in there. He's climbing up there, moving everything, and nobody's saying anything? Common sense 101. You're touching the crime scene. That's the main event. That camera has everything. Okay, and I'm sorry. People are like, who do you trust? Get Israel, get all that out of there. The way that it was handled and the fact that his friends and everybody else have just moved on and they're worrying about Turning Point does not sit with me well, Pat. And I'm talking about my mom. I'm talking about people from all walks of life are like, something doesn't feel right.
Whose mom?
My mom, my aunt, my cousins, my friends. I'm having messages from people that I haven't talked to in years that are like, I know I watched the show and everything. They go, none of us feel like what we're being told is the truth. Not with Tyler, not with none of it is adding up. The boyfriends disappeared. Now they're trying to say that Tyler didn't even step foot on the campus that day.
So something doesn't add up is what they're saying on the Patrick Bet-David show. And so the people need to understand that the state of Utah is running this. So let's get back into what we were talking back in the last podcast, the Beehive State. The Beehive State and the association with the bees with the state of Utah, which is run by the Latter-day Saints. Now, Candace Owens she's been on this. Some of the things that she's been talking about have been, I don't know, a little kooky. People have been making fun of her and all of that. In this clip that I'm going to play, this is a clip of the Steven Crowder show, and they're making fun of her because she's trying to draw association to the bees. She doesn't make the association to the tribe of Dan, like I was explaining to you in the last podcast, but she is saying there's something with the bees. And then the Steven Crowder guys, they're making fun of her and laughing at her. We'll listen to a little bit of Candace Owens here.
Going to show us?
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah, that's what I was
looking
asking.
Online, and strangely, I'm not kidding, and I'm going to show you these messages. I came
Here
across
come the receipts.
what looked to me like a bunch of people talking about bees.
Okay.
I think that all these people are really actually, quote unquote, bee farmers, or saying
It's called
that
a
they
beekeeper.
farm
Yeah.
bees.
There's a movie
what is
about
this
it.
lingo that I'm not understanding? Why do I feel like it's related to students? I didn't feel good about it at all. There is some weird underground, it's like I sense like imminent danger is coming. And for some reason-
Some weird underground is what Candace says. Some weird underground association with bees. Now she relates the bees to some communist cult from Poland, is what she says here. And they start making fun of her and saying, you know, the official story of why Utah is called the Beehive State. Nothing about the tribe of Dan, like we talked about in the last podcast, but this is the conclusion that she makes, is some communist European cult, which is where the association of bees comes from. So we'll listen a little bit more of this.
Why do I feel like it's related to students? I didn't feel good about it at all. There is some weird underground, it's like I sense like imminent danger is coming. And for some reason, I feel like there is an underground that has emerged at schools, and it's like related to bees. That's what I said. And I messaged multiple people about this. My sister, here are a couple of more text messages to other people.
What other people? No answers whatsoever.
No. By the way,
Great receipts.
she doesn't typically post text messages, guys. So this is abnormal behavior.
That's right.
Yeah.
You can look
Candace.
at the time frame here. This
Sure.
is 8:30, August 30th. I am not someone who normally publicizes text messages. There's imminent danger coming. Okay,
9
It
days
is
prior.
relating to a school. I think it's a communist underground, and I don't know why, but it has something to do with bees. Totally sensible thing to say to your husband.
Yeah, totally sensible thing to say to your husband. Yeah, if you're crazy, marry Todd Lincoln.
Want to go see a play? Listen, I understand that. I don't know how to understand this. I'm sorry.
So
I
it
was
was
trying to say
A Polish underground symbol.
Oh,
that
no, it was a school shooting, and somebody adjacent to someone at the school. I don't know what that means, by the way. Was it a
Yeah.
crossing guard, or is
It's
it
a
somebody
bus
that lived
driver.
within 5 miles, and that's as far as a bee can fly in 5 minutes?
It's a lunch
I don't-
lady. She ran out of honey.
Yes. Yes.
What?
All right, so they're laughing at her. I don't have time. I don't want to play a lot of this because they go into the official story of why Utah chose the bee as their symbol, and it's called the Beehive State, which I'm going to explain to you what the official story here is in a moment. But they put this video out further making fun of of Candace Owens on X about the bees. Take a listen.
Not the bees! Not the bees! Not the Polish farming communist bees!
Not the Polish communist bees. So the bees are associated with the tribe of Dan, as I was explaining to you in the last podcast, in esoteric circles, in particularly with among Freemasons and the mystery religions. The bees are associated with the tribe of Dan, and we talked about the tribe of Dan in the last podcast. The tribe of Dan is one of the 12 is Israel tribes in the Bible that comprised the tribe of Israel and became the Jewish people. The tribe is named after the first two sons born to Jacob from the maidservant of Rachel, Bilhah. So the tribe of Dan is associated here. Religious significance of the tribe of Dan. The tribe of Dan is associated with early instances of idolatry in Egypt, or in Israel. Sorry. Tribe of Dan is associated with early instances of idolatry in Israel. During their migration, Danites established a shrine in their new city, which foreshadowed future religious apostasy. The act of idolatry highlighted in the biblical narrative, particularly during the reign of Jeroboam I, who set up a golden calf in Dan. Legacy and prophetic context. The tribe of Dan's legacy is multifaceted, reflecting by both its struggle and contributions to Israel's history. Notably, Dan is absent from the list of the 44,000 sealed from the tribes of Israel in Revelation 7 in the Bible, which led to various interpretations among theologians regarding its significance. So the tribe of Dan is the main animal that the tribe of Dan is associated in the Bible is the snake, is the serpent, and also a young lion. The lion's whelp is the prophecy that Moses gives Dan, which I think is significant that Judah, which the Messiah comes out of Judah, is associated with the lion, a full-grown lion, and Dan is associated with a young lion, the lion's whelp, in the prophecy from Moses. But the prophecy from Jacob to Dan is that Dan is a snake, a serpent. And this is the prophecy again that Jacob gives Dan. Dan will be a snake by the roadside, a viper along the path that bites the horse's heel so that the rider tumbles backwards. So we were relating that to the movie Snake Eyes that with Nicolas Cage that has tons of parallels with the Charlie Kirk assassination. In the movie Snake Eyes, the politician, defense secretary who is shot, his name is Charles Kirkland. He's shot in the neck, in the left side of the neck. He's shot by a Palestinian terrorist. The defense contractors are working on a missile system for Israel, and they want the defense secretary to pass it, and that's why they assassinate him. The all-seeing eye is featured. The hurricane is Hurricane Jezebel. There is a character named Cyrus in the movie who Cyrus cuts his hand, and then he gets his hand on the blood from his finger all over the money. So there's this symbology of blood money. There's all Cyrus. When we get into the siege of Jerusalem and the destruction of Solomon's temple and talk about the Babylonian captivity, we're going to talk about Cyrus, Cyrus the Great, who is the one who frees the Israelis and the Jews from Babylon and lets them go back and build the second temple. So all of that is in the movie Snake Eyes, and we were making that relationship because the snake is associated with the tribe of Dan. But bees are also associated with the tribe of Dan, again, in esoteric circles, in the mystery religions. Are bees associated with the tribe of Dan? Yes, bees are associated with the tribe of Dan through the Merovingian dynasty, whose symbol of 300 gold bees was linked to the tribe of Dan through Samson. And we talked about the story of Samson in the last podcast that is in the Bible in the book of Judges, where Samson kills a young lion, comes back to the carcass of the lion, and within the carcass of the lion, bees have nested and they have made honey. And that's why these esoteric circles, these occult circles, associate the bee with the tribe of Dan. You can see down here, symbol of, connection to Dan. The symbolism is linked to the tribe of Dan through groups like the Masons. The Freemasons associate bees with the tribe of Dan, who saw the bee as a symbol of the tribe. Bees and honeycomb were seen as a symbol of divine harmony, wisdom, and insight. So bees are associated with the tribe of Dan. Now, the official story of why Utah chose the bee as their symbol, and they're called the Beehive State, is because of the industrialness and hard work of the Latter-day Saints when they went into Utah and created the state of Utah, created the civilization there in the middle of the desert, that they were industrialists, hardworking, and that's what the official story is. Utah is known as the Beehive State, symbolizing the industriousness, hard work of its residents, rooted in the history of Latter-day Saints pioneers. The nickname Beehive States reflects the values and industry and perseverance that are deeply embedded in Utah's culture. The beehive symbolizes hard work and cooperation traits that are essential to the early settlers faced. So this is the official story, and this is the story that the Steven Crowder guys, when they're laughing at Candace Owens, they say Candace Owens doesn't know what she's talking about, that this is the reason that Utah is called the Beehive State, is because of their perseverance and their industrialness and all of that. Okay. Well, there's a house in Salt Lake City that is just down the street from the temple there in Salt Lake City, and it's called the Beehive House. And the Beehive House was a home that Brigham Young is the one that, after Joseph Smith's death, he's the one that led the Latter-day Saints out of Missouri west and into what is present-day Utah. And he named this house the Beehive House. Well, if it's about being, perseverance and industrialness and all of that, why would he name this house the Beehive House? And you can see the beehive at the top of the house here. Well, what was this house that Brigham Young named the Beehive House? Let's read here. The Beehive House was one of the official residence of Brigham Young, the second president and prophet of Jesus Christ and Latter-day Saints. In Salt Lake City. The Beehive House gets its name from the beehive sculpture at the top of the house. The home is normally operated as a historic museum today, but has been closed for renovations. Okay, so what was the Beehive House? The Beehive House was constructed in 1854, 2 years before the neighboring house. So right next to the Beehive House is the Lion House. So there was the Beehive House and the Lion House. So the Beehive House was constructed in 1854, 2 years before the neighboring Lion House was built, also a residence of Brigham Young. Both homes are 1 block east of the Salt Lake City Temple Square, South Temple Street, and downtown Salt Lake City. The home was designed by Young's brother, an architect of the Salt Lake City Temple. And read this paragraph. Brigham Young was a polygamist. Meaning he had many wives, and the Beehive House was designed to accommodate his large family, his many wives. So that's why they built the Beehive House. What does that have to do with being industrial and being perseverance? So he named the house where his many wives and children lived, because he was a polygamist. He named the house the Beehive House. And then he lived there with his many wives and kids. It's the Beehive House. The Beehive House also became the official residence of the governor of Utah Territory and president of the LDS Church. So the governor and the president were, for many years, they were synonymous. That Utah, the first governor was Brigham Young. He was also the second prophet and the second president. So the Beehive House, not only is Utah the Beehive State, but Brigham Young's house, where he lived with his many wives and children, it was called the Beehive House, and it was right next to the Lion House, all associated with the tribe of Dan. Okay, let's talk about Nauvoo. Nauvoo was a city in Illinois that was founded by the first prophet and president of Latter-day Saints, Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith is the founder of the Mormon religion. Nauvoo is a Hebrew word that means they are beautiful. And I was explaining to you in the last podcast that everything in the LDS church comes from the Hebrew scriptures. It's taken from the Jewish people, and Freemasonry is what I was explaining to you. So, Joseph Smith, creates this town for, the Latter-day Saints in Western Illinois. And he called the town. There was nothing there before Joseph Smith and the Latter-day Saints get there and build this town out of nothing. It's a basically swamp area. There was malaria. Many of them died, but eventually they build a town there that is uniquely a town for the Latter-day Saints. From the Mormons, they build a temple there, and then from Nauvoo they go to Jackson Jackson County, Missouri, and because Jackson County, Missouri at this time was the furthest west from the United States. The United States hadn't fought the Mexican-American War and hadn't acquired the states to the west of Missouri yet. So Missouri was the furthest west. So they go from Western Illinois, where they build the town Nauvoo, and then they go to Independence in Jackson, Missouri, and they also start to settle in Jackson County, Missouri. We'll read a little bit about Nauvoo here. Nauvoo is a small city in Hancock County, Illinois, United States, on the Mississippi River, and Fort Madison, Iowa. The population of Nauvoo today is population of Nauvoo in 2020 was 950 people. Nauvoo attracts visitors for its historic importance to religious significance to the members of several groups: Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, a Community of Christ formerly recognized by the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, other groups stemming from Latter-day Saints movement. So it was a unique, a city that was uniquely Mormon. It was a Mormon city founded by Joseph Smith and his brother, Nauvoo. Joseph Smith and his brother were killed in nearby Carthage, Illinois. So Carthage, Illinois, and this is the jail that Joseph Smith and his brother were held in when they were killed in this jail in Carthage, Illinois, which was near Nauvoo. Carthage is a city in the county seat of Hancock County, United States. Population in the 2020 census, 2,490. Carthage is best known for being the site of the 1844 murder of Joseph Smith, the founder of the Latter-day Saints. So Joseph Smith and his brother were killed in Carthage, Illinois. And then after Joseph Smith and his brother were killed, Brigham Young takes charge of the Latter-day Saints. Brigham Young becomes the second prophet, the second president. He becomes the leader of the Latter-day Saints after Joseph Smith is killed. And then Brigham Young is the one who leads the Latter-day Saints west into Utah. By this time, the Mexican-American War was on, and the United States is getting ready to acquire Utah, New Mexico, California, all of the western states. So they start moving out west, and that's how they end up in Utah. All right, let's talk about the Danites. Who are the Danites? The Danites were a fraternal organization, fraternal order. The Danites were a fraternal order founded by Latter-day Saints members in 1838 in the town Far West, Caldwell County, Missouri. The Danites were founded in Missouri, and they were part of the Latter-day Saints movement. They were a fraternal organization in the Latter-day Saints movement, and they were called the Danites. You can see here in the Wikipedia page, named after It says named after the prophet Daniel or the tribe of Dan. No, they were named after the tribe of Dan, not the prophet Daniel, who we'll talk about more in the next podcast. But the Danites were named after the tribe of Dan, and they were an fraternal organization in the Latter-day Saints. The Danites were a fraternal org founded by the Latter-day Saints members in 1838 in the town of Far West, Caldwell County, Missouri. During the period of the organization in Missouri, the Danites operated as a vigilant group and took a center role in the events of the 1838 Mormon War. The Mormon War happened in Missouri. Many people died. This is a war that the people in Missouri were fighting against the Mormons because they wanted to get rid of the Mormons out of Missouri. This is one of the events that led Brigham Young after the death of after Joseph Smith and his brother are killed, that forced Brigham Young and the LDS Church to move out of Missouri and head west and found the state of Utah. So the Danites were a vigilant group that took a central role in the events of the 1838 Mormon War. They remained an important part of the Mormon and non-Mormon folklore. So notwithstanding public excommunication, Danite leaders by the church. So publicly, Joseph Smith, he condemned the Danites because they did a lot of stuff that, like he says right here, Joseph Smith, referring to them as a band of being evil natured, talking about this, secret combination. The term is used in the Book of Mormon to signify corruption within the group of public, such as gangs, organized crime, and politics, as well as used in general parlance to signify unlawful conspiracy. The Danites. So the Danites, their headquarters were in Nauvoo, back in Illinois. That was where they were headquarters. They were a military group. They were secretive, and they were a fraternal order founded in the Latter-day Saints, the Danites. All right. How much time do I have? I have plenty of time. Okay. So, I'm going to end this podcast because, like I was telling you, the Mormon Church, is pretty much, they took, Joseph Smith took ideas from the Hebrew text and the Hebrew people, all of the names and language that he used, even, naming the city of Nauvoo. Nauvoo was a Hebrew word. They took all of this symbology and stuff from the Jewish religion and from the Hebrew people. But they also took a lot from the Freemasons because Joseph Smith and his brothers were Freemasons. In Nauvoo, before they built the temple, and they're going to talk about it here in this video, when they built the city of Nauvoo, before they even built the temple, they built a Masonic lodge there. And the Grand Master of the Masonic Lodge in Nauvoo was Joseph Smith's brother, who happens to be named Hiram. And they talk a little bit about Hiram in this video. This video, I'm going to play quite a bit of it because there's so much good stuff in this video. This is a member of the LDS Church, and he takes us in the Masonic Lodge there in Salt Lake City, which is right down the street from the temple there in Salt Lake City. And they talk about a lot. They uncover a lot of secrets. Now, the Freemasons are an occult organization, and that shouldn't be a bad word. The word occult just means secretive. That's all occult means, is that secret, that it's secret. It's kept secret. They have a lot of secrets. And even in this video, there's a lot that the gentleman who gives this guy the tour is able to share with him, but he tells him there's a lot that I'm not able to share with you because it's secret. And by definition, occult means secret. I say this all the time, that at one time, during the Roman Empire, Christianity was a cult. Christianity had to be kept in secret during the reign of Emperor Diocletian and other emperors where they were persecuting Christians. Christians had to practice their religion in secret. So by definition, Christianity was a cult during the Roman Empire when Christians were being persecuted. So the word occult is not a bad word. The word occult only means secretive, and Freemasonry is very secretive. This is this video, they tell you so much in here. Let's get started with this.
Only a few blocks away from the Latter-day Saint Temple in downtown Salt Lake is this building, the Masonic Temple of Salt Lake. Masons are a kind of mysterious organization that not very many people know very much about. You probably only heard of them in movies like National Treasure. But the
National Treasure, who's the lead character in National Treasure? The lead character in National Treasure is Nicolas Cage, who is also in Snake Eyes. That's interesting.
Know very much about. You probably only heard of them in movies like National Treasure. But the Masons are an organization that goes back centuries, at least as early as the 1300s, where we have the first records. A number of the founders of the United States, like George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, were Masons. And it's a fraternal organization where men come to buildings like this, where they enter into ceremonies where they promise to assist each other, to help each other, and the motto of Masonry is to help make good men better.
So the Masons are a fraternal organization, just like the Danites, fraternal organization.
Latter-day Saints in the 1840s had suffered serious persecutions. Some of them were former Masons, and they felt like if they connected with the Masons, they might have some friends that could help them out if they got in trouble. And today, we've got the rare privilege of going inside the Masonic Temple, where we're going to film a tour and find out a little bit more about the Masonic fraternity.
Look at the snakes.
We're here in Nauvoo, Illinois, where one of the most striking buildings on Main Street is this building, which is today called the Cultural Hall. This was used for a lot of things back in the 1840s when the Saints were here, but the name that it was probably most commonly called back then was the Masonic Lodge. The question is, why were the Masons here? What's their tie to the church? And how did the church's involvement with the Masons affect the development of church teachings and practice? Here on the third floor of the Masonic Hall is where the Masonic Lodge met. They would have performed the ceremonies carried out with Masons. And because of the timing, Joseph Smith is inducted as a Mason in early 1842. In May of 1842, he introduces the Temple Endowment. But there are some parallels between the Latter-day Saint endowment ceremony and the Masonic ceremony. So we're going to take a few minutes and explore those parallels, how they came from, how we explain them, and how the Masons may have influenced the development of Latter-day Saint temple practice. Some Masons think their practices descend from Solomon's Temple, others from the Knights Templar. But many Freemason scholars point to Masonry beginning in the 13th century, when stonemasons created guilds. We know that Joseph Smith's brother, Hiram Smith, was a Freemason early on, and that Joseph Smith joined later on. This is an exciting opportunity we have not just to learn about Latter-day Saint history, but also Freemasonry in general. Hi, Lon.
Casey, welcome to the Salt Lake Masonic Temple.
Today we're touring with Lon Tibbetts. Lon has been a Grand Master and is currently a Grand Secretary. He's also served in the church as a bishop, and he regularly gives tours in the Masonic Temple. We are exploring a little bit about the connection between Latter-day Saints and Freemasons, and I understand you're both. Correct?
I am. That's true.
You're a member of the church, and you're a member of this Masonic Lodge.
Yes.
And you give tours all the time, and you're going to show us through.
I am.
Okay, we'll lead the way. We're excited.
This is the Grand Hall.
The Grand Hall.
We don't hold meetings here. It's kind of a foyer, if you will. The pictures in this room.
This is a statue of Albert Pike right here. Statue of Albert Pike. He's the one who wrote Morals and Dogma.
Are the pictures of men or women who have held national or international presidencies of Masonic bodies.
Okay. How long have these women's organizations been around?
It's more than 100 years, but I don't know how much more than that. So we do call them appendant bodies or concordant bodies. Now, Freemasonry itself is really the first 3 degrees in a lodge. And Scottish Rite, York Rite, Shriners are also appendant bodies as well.
Okay, so all these would be organizations that are attached.
Attached.
Gotcha. And the lodges move from place to place.
They can.
They can.
They can, yeah. They become more permanent as we've started buying buildings. This business of having buildings they met in halls, but typically rented.
So that might not be something people know, is that a lodge refers to the people.
It does.
And not necessarily the building that they're in.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now this building, you use the word temple differently than Latter-day Saints use it. Explain the difference.
So the difference between the two, a temple in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is a place where we go and do ordinance work. And we do degree work in a Masonic temple, but it's built around the fact that all of our myths have to do with the Temple of Solomon.
All of our myths have to do with the Temple of Solomon. All of our myths have to do with the Temple of Solomon. And I wanted to do this podcast before we get into the Babylonian captivity and destruction of the Solomon temple in the next podcast, because this kind of lays some of the groundwork as we get into that.
All of our myths have to do with the Temple of Solomon. And so lodge rooms are patterned after the Temple of Solomon, those kinds of things. So that's why we would use that word. It doesn't have any religious connotations whatsoever.
Is there a religion requirement? Does it matter what religion you're part of?
So no, it doesn't matter what religion. We would say that we're not a religious society, but a moral society. Men who join us take obligations to do good things, and there needs to be a higher power that they would hold themselves accountable to.
They take obligations to do good things, and there has to be a higher power that you believe in, a higher power, and that you are responsible to this higher power. This higher power can be anyone, is what he's going to say, but you have to believe in a higher power. You have to believe in a higher power to be a Freemason, and that's very important.
A society, but a moral society. Men who join us take obligations to do good things, and there needs to be a higher power that they would hold themselves accountable to if they broke that obligation.
So they have to do good things, and they have to be associated with the higher power.
You don't have to be a member of a church, but you do have to recognize a supreme being.
You don't have to be a member of a church, but you do have to recognize a supreme being. Very important.
You have to be a member of a church, but you do have to recognize a supreme being. Not necessarily a recognized supreme being, but it can't be Satan.
So it doesn't have to be a recognized supreme being. You can make up a supreme being. It could be Xenu from Scientology. It can be any supreme being, but it can't be Satan. Now, notice that he says Satan. He doesn't say Lucifer. Now, people who know Satan and Lucifer are synonymous with one another know that Satan and Lucifer, but he doesn't say, he says it can't be Satan, but he says, he doesn't say Lucifer, and this is kind of a little trick that he's playing there, because many of them believe Lucifer, the light bringer, who what Albert Pike wrote in Morals and Dogma, is the higher power. And when you get up to the higher degrees, that you find out that that's who you're really worshiping. I asked you the question. He said that you bring in men that they have to do good work and they have to believe in a higher power. Where Aleister Crowley, Mr. Crowley, was a 33-degree Mason. Who was his higher power? He called himself the most wicked man on earth when he was alive. He was a witch. He was an Egyptologist. He did black magic. Who was Aleister Crowley's higher power that he believed in? I just ask you that.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you don't have to be a member of any church, but if you acknowledge a higher power.
Right. And we don't check up to make sure you're active or any of those kinds of things. We take a man at his word. Our advertising tagline is that we take good men and make them better.
Right.
Your higher power could be Baal. It could be Baal.
Our advertising tagline is that we take good men and make them better.
Right.
We really are very narrowly
This
focused.
guy is so forthcoming. He says our advertising motto is that we take good men and make them better. That's what we advertise.
Any of those kinds of things. We take a man at his word. Our advertising tagline is that we take good men and make them better.
Right.
We really are very narrowly focused there.
You're like the Marines. You're looking for a few good men.
A few good men, yeah.
Now that we have the basics, Lon takes us into our first lodge room.
Oh, wow. So what would this room be called?
This is the colonial room.
The colonial room is one of 5 different lodge rooms in the temple. Each lodge room is designed differently with its own historical theme.
And the reason we call it the colonial room is just its architecture.
Yeah, the decor. I recognize this gentleman right over here.
Most Masonic temples or Masonic lodges across the United States have this exact print up on the wall someplace. We don't deify, but we do venerate George Washington. We look to him as one of the Masonic forefathers of American Masonry. Here you've probably seen there's prints all the way in here of George Washington in different settings.
Well, tell us, what can you say about this room?
This is the altar. We also call it a trestle board. A trestle board would have been a place where ancient stone masons would have had their plans laid out.
He calls it an altar first. He calls it an altar first. I want you to look at what the definition of an altar is. An altar is a flat top block used as a focus of religious ritual, especially for making sacrifices and offerings to a deity. That an altar is a focus of religious rituals, especially making sacrifices or offerings to a religious deity. And he calls it an altar.
We also call it a trestle board. A trestle board would have been a place where ancient stone masons would have had their plans laid out. There's some symbolism in that for us. What's on this for us is a King James version of the Bible.
Oh, okay.
It's open to one of 3 different scriptures in the Old Testament that line up with the degree that we would be open on. So the worshipful master sits here, and we have some tradition.
So they call this this individual who is the master of the lodge, the worshipful master. Worshipful master. Worshipful master is what they call this individual, the worshipful master.
3 different scriptures in the Old Testament that line up with the degree that we would be open on. So the worshipful master sits here, and we have some traditions. So one of them is nothing passes between the light and the worshipful master. So we go to great lengths. If we're coming from over here, we go around. If we're sitting up over there, we go around. Along with the trestle board or altar, you see 3 lights. We call them burning tapers. On the other side up here, we have the chaplain. We open our meetings with a non-denominational prayer. We never say in the name of Jesus Christ at the end of our prayers. But the reason for that is because we have all religions represented in a lodge, and we're expecting that the God that they worship is who they're thinking of as we close that prayer.
It can be the God, when they say a prayer, they don't say in the name of Jesus Christ because they want who's ever in there, whoever your God is, if it's Xenu, if it's Baal, if it's Lucifer, and whoever the God is that is your higher power, we want you thinking of that God. So we don't want to say in the name of Jesus Christ.
That the God that they worship is who they're thinking of as we close that prayer. So naming any of them would be inappropriate for us.
So is there an amen at the end of the prayer?
There is an amen.
Okay.
There is an amen.
But you're respecting the other faiths.
Yeah, and we would typically say something along the lines of, in thy holy name. And of course, when that happens, I'm thinking of Jesus Christ.
But somebody else might be thinking of
Baal, Lucifer?
Their deity they worship, yeah. Yes.
Aside from the chaplain and the senior warden, there are other officers such as senior and junior deacons, secretary, treasurer, and stewards.
There's also one other officer. He's outside that door. He's called a Tyler. He has a sword. It doesn't have an edge on it. He'd probably hurt himself if it did. But he is guarding our door from what we would call Cowans and eavesdroppers.
He's guarding the secrets.
So a Cowan and an eavesdropper is someone who's not a Mason who's trying to get a look at what it is that we do.
Basically us, I guess. Well, we were invited.
You were invited?
Okay.
Yes.
Can you tell us about this globe? Or is that part of the decor?
So every lodge in this state has two pillars.
Every lodge has the two pillars, which I like to call the twin towers. Those who know. But I call these two pillars the twin towers. And every lodge has the twin towers. The twin towers are very significant to the Masonic rituals.
Every lodge in this state has two pillars. They don't all have stairs, but these are representative of the two pillars on the porch at King Solomon's Temple.
And they have names, right?
They have names.
Yakin, is that right? You tell me. I'm going to get.
I actually can't.
You can't.
So this is, he says, this is one of the instances, even though he's being very forthcoming, there's some things that he's not allowed to tell him in this. And this is what I mean by a cult. They have tons of secrets that they're not allowed to divulge.
At King Solomon's Temple.
And they have names, right?
They have names.
Yakin, is that right? You tell me. I'm going to get.
I actually can't.
You can't. Okay.
No, I actually can't.
Okay.
That's one of those, but they can be easily found.
Okay.
So, and many of our myths have to do with.
He uses the word myths again. Many of our myths. Very interesting.
And by the way, I'm going to offend some Mason somewhere by saying myths, but many of our myths have to do with Hiram, who we can find in 1 Kings and 1 Chronicles.
And that's what I was telling you. Hiram Abiff is a central character in Islam. In Freemasonry. And it goes back to the Tower of Babel, actually. And that's what I was explaining to you. That the master builders that were building the Tower of Babel after God destroyed the Tower of Babel in ancient Babylon, these secret mathematics and geometry that the master builders shared all the way up into Hiram Abiff led Hiram Abiff to use this mathematics and this mystery knowledge in the construction of Solomon's Temple.
To do with Hiram, who we can find in 1 Kings and 1 Chronicles, was the guy who built these pillars. We've stretched his duties in our myths to other things.
They stretch. So there's a small mention of Hiram in the Bible, in the Book of Kings, and as he says here, I mean, quite frankly, that we've stretched his duties in our myths. We've created whole legends and folklores and myths around a Hiram that was the master builder of Solomon's Temple.
These pillars, we've stretched his duties in our myths to other things. At the top, you see the lily work and the pomegranates that would be called out in that scriptural account. But over here, we have the continents, and over here, we have the constellations at the top of it. Oh, very Masonic.
Okay.
The stairs over here also contain some things. So the first three steps are actually the square, the level, and the plumb. And those are the symbols of the offices of the three principal officers in the lodge. Then we have the 5 senses, and then the last 7, and you probably already figured out 3, 5, and 7, which are very Masonic numbers. And these are the 7 liberal arts and sciences.
Oh, okay.
But early in Masonry, Masons were encouraged to make themselves thoroughly familiar with the 7 liberal arts and sciences. And if you think back on stonemasons in general, they probably would have been very well educated in geometry and in stonemasonry, but not necessarily those things.
Can you tell us about how Solomon's Temple fits into this? What's appropriate to say?
Everything we do, we are using imagery from stonemasons. We are using imagery from temple building. All of those things to inculcate in hearts. We use words like inculcate. Inculcate means something very specific to us. And so if you think about a degree as a morality play, and there are 2 or 3 or 4 or maybe more morals that we want a Mason to understand and inculcate into.
All right, I want to move forward. I don't have very much time. I'm not going to play that clip because I don't have time, but let's move forward here. More of this video.
But in this room are two ashlars, we call them. And Casey, there are these rocks.
I was going to ask about these, yeah.
Of all the symbols in Masonry, these are probably my favorite. This is a rough ashlar. It's a little bigger and much rougher than that one, which is a perfect ashlar. And this symbolizes man's journey. From our point of view, before you joined Masonry, you were like this, and over the rest of your life, you are seeking to knock off the hard, rough edges and become that, so that you can go to the next life and fit in that house made in the heavens without hands, if you will.
So a rough stone.
A rough stone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A year after becoming a Mason, Joseph Smith said, "I am like a huge rough stone rolling down from a high mountain. And the only polishing I get is when some corner gets rubbed off by coming in contact with something else. Thus, I will become a smooth and polished shaft in the quiver of the Almighty." Joseph may have been using Masonic imagery here, influenced by his Masonic experience.
Can I ask the G?
The G?
What the G stands for?
Yes. So we really don't hide this, but it stands for both geometry and God.
Oh, okay.
The God part of that is why it's so brightly lit.
And can you explain the geometry part?
Which God?
So,
you guys don't, I mean, you guys said that people can have any God that they want. The God can be Xenu, Baal, whatever. So which God are you talking about?
This, but it stands for both geometry and God.
Oh, okay.
The God part of that is why it's so brightly lit.
Yeah, it's so brightly lit because the God is Lucifer, the God of light.
And God.
Oh, okay.
The God part of that is why it's so brightly lit.
And can you explain the geometry part?
So geometry was a big part of stonemasonry. And some of the really intricate things that a stonemason would have done when he built a cathedral. If you think about some of those cathedrals and some of the things that are there, you understand that that's a lot of geometry.
So this was a society that encourages education and bettering themselves. They also give plenty of donations, scholarships, and other charitable acts. And the Masonic temple is regularly used for these things.
So Casey, let's go see the Egyptian room.
The Egyptian room, okay.
The Egyptian room.
While Freemasons don't trace their history to ancient Egypt, Lon explains that Masons generally say they've borrowed good features from many different cultures.
Yeah, they have a lot of Egyptian symbology, absolutely, and there is a lot of Egyptology in Freemasonry. Again, Aleister Crowley was not only a witch, a black person who practiced black magic, but he was also an Egyptologist. There's a lot of Egyptology in Freemasonry, and quite honestly, Joseph Smith claims that when he translated the Book of Mormon from the golden plates, he claims that he translated the language that the golden plates were written in were a language called Reformed Egyptian. Reformed Egypt. There is no such thing as Reformed Egypt. This is a made-up language. There is absolutely no language that is known to man outside of the Latter-day Saints as Reformed Egyptian. But that's what Joseph Smith claimed, is that the golden plates, when he translated the Book of Mormon into English from the golden plates, he translated through the seer stones. The seer stones allowed him to translate into English from Reformed Egyptian. There's no such thing as Reformed Egyptian, just to let you know.
Overblown to say that Joseph borrowed from Freemasonry when Masonry borrowed from others. A better word might be adapted. Joseph Smith would say that one of the grand fundamental principles of Mormonism is to receive truth, let it come from whence it may. And since we're coming into the Egyptian room, this is a perfect opportunity to talk about another topic that has to do with ancient Egypt, the translation of the Book of Abraham. Around the same time that Joseph Smith was becoming involved in Freemasonry, he was also finishing his work on the translation of the Book of Abraham with its references to ancient covenants. All of this was part of the background for the introduction of the endowment in Nauvoo. During this time, the saints built a Masonic lodge in Nauvoo. This has been restored and currently stands on Main Street in historic Nauvoo. Joseph Smith may have adapted some of the methodology and symbology of Freemasonry and made them part of the inspired ceremonies that take place in Latter-day Saint temples.
So this is the Egyptian room, and you can immediately see the same elements. We have the stairs here, we have the pillars. You see both of the stones up here again, the ashlars as well. The altar or trestle board. This one looks more altar than trestle board. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the lights. The senior warden up over here.
Can you tell me about this
yes.
inverted star right here?
Okay, I can. That's the Order of the Eastern Star.
The inverted pentagram, the Order of the Eastern Star. The Eastern Star is the dog star, the star of Sirius. And like I told you, that the inverted pentagram, like you can see even on the poster here that the Council of Europe put out with the Tower of Babel, has the inverted pentagram on top. The inverted pentagram represents the Eastern Star, which is the dog star, which is the star of Sirius. So the Order of the Eastern Star is a adjacent and different order within the Fraternal Order of Freemasonry, and there are many adjacent and orders that are not the Freemasonic order, but are adjacent to the Freemasonic order, and the Order of the Eastern Star is one. Women are not allowed to be Freemasons, but they are allowed to be members of the Eastern Star. So there are many, like I said, the Danites. The Danites were an adjacent fraternal order as well. So there are many adjacent fraternal orders, and the Order of the Eastern Star represents the dog star, the star of Sirius.
Inverted star right here.
Okay, I can. That's the Order of the Eastern Star, which is one of our ladies' groups. They're very, very large. They have both male and female members in it. The men have to be a Mason to join it. It's also one of those stars that causes people to think that we might be involved in devil worship, and we're not.
And Hiram was the
And look, he keeps saying devil and Satan, but he doesn't say Lucifer. That people that think that we're involved in devil worship. No, nobody thinks that you're involved in devil worship. We think that you're involved in Luciferianism, Lucifer worship.
The men have to be a Mason to join it. It's also one of those stars that causes people to think that we might be involved in devil worship, and we're not.
And Hiram was the Grand Master, right?
Hiram was.
So Hiram, again, Hiram of Biff is who all the legends, the guy who they say constructed Solomon's Temple. His name is Hiram. He's the central character in Freemasonry. And Joseph Smith's brother was named Hiram. And Joseph Smith's brother was the Master Mason at the lodge in Nauvoo.
We're not.
And Hiram was the Grand Master, right?
Hiram was the master.
Hiram was the master. Joseph was a chaplain.
Chaplain?
Yeah.
Yes.
Explain what that role would be.
So that role, so it sits there. So this is an idea from someone named Greg Kearney. And that is that if you've been a chaplain, you've got a different view of a lodge and what's happening during a degree. Because of that you see and the things that a chaplain does, if our degrees had any influence on Joseph at all, it was probably the interactive form of learning that he was watching, the repetitive form of learning he was watching. It's not all the things that I think people think that it is.
All right, so there's so much more in this video. I'm not going to be able to get to everything. I'm running out of time. I do want to play this video. This is a Christian gentleman who I guess they were having some Shriners conference in his city. He went with a video camera and he got into this confrontation with this Shriner. Shriner is one of those adjacent fraternal orders to Freemasonry. And I want you to listen to what this gentleman says in this video about the Shriners and the Freemasons.
Lucifer, what is your problem?
Just that, sir.
He says, I am Lucifer. What is your problem? So again, they use the word Lucifer. Lucifer's different from the devil and Satan. Lucifer is who they worship.
Lucifer, what is your problem?
Just that, sir.
Okay.
I'm a Christian, sir.
I'm pure and virtuous and wholesome and innocent. How can you say anything bad about me?
Sir, you need to be born again.
I am born again.
Now, did you just say that you were Lucifer?
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy...
Virtuous.
Virtuous. Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh,
Amen.
God bless you,
Amen.
brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're
about those
confirming
hospitals?
You know what, sir?
He says, what about those hospitals? He says, what about those hospitals? Because the Shriners and the Freemasons, they do a lot of good works. They fund hospitals. They do a lot of good things. And so, doing the good things that they do, that they think that covers up, the fact that they worship Lucifer and that they can justify it because he says, what about those hospitals? And then I want you to listen what this guy says.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're
about those
confirming
hospitals?
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not do these good deeds in your name? And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Jesus said it?
In Matthew chapter 5.
Mercy.
No.
That's hard to believe.
So you're a Christian and you don't know that? Actually,
no, I really am.
You are.
Because I'm pure and virtuous.
You're pure and virtuous, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. In other words, you're perfect without Jesus, right?
No.
Okay, tell me about Jesus. Who is Jesus?
Well, he's my leader.
Is he the Son of God?
Yes, he
is. Is he the only worshipful master?
Yes.
Have you ever been called worshipful master?
No, because I've just been too busy. I've been working.
I've been too busy. And the guy in the video says that the worshipful master is who sits between the altar, and we don't let anything pass between the worshipful master and the altar. Guys, I didn't get to everything, but we're going to definitely get into the siege of Jerusalem and the destruction of Solomon's temple in the next podcast. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you on Monday.